All right, welcome back into yet another draft pick for the Chicago Bears. This is Bear and Balance. I'm Jeff Berckes, joined by lead draft analyst Jacob Infante. Jacob, we got back. It's just a defensive back this time around. We've got a guy by the name of Zah Frazier from the University of Texas at San Antonio, the Roadrunners. What do you know about him?
Yeah, so he's someone that, coming in here in the fifth round, he's someone I had a fourth round grade on. So being able to get that, at least just off of that on my board, I'm a fan of the pick. Definitely wasn't expecting a corner here. I definitely wasn't also expecting that we'd be, deep into round 5 and the Bears haven't taken a single running back. So I don't know. But what I do know is Frazier is an extremely talented, physically gifted athlete who I'll admit he's a little bit of a one-year wonder, but the tools that he displayed in 2024 and the combine that he put together reflect that. So I'm a fan of this pick. I think it's a good toolsy developmental prospect to take a shot on in round 5. Again, I had a round 4 grade on him. I had him in somewhere in the 120s. So to be able to get him, a little bit later on in the draft is a pretty good. That's a win in my book.
So let me ask you something about, this is an older rookie, right? He's
Yeah.
been around for a minute. It's one of those COVID exemption situations, I would assume. I mean, it says he's in his 6th year here. He's 24 years old right now.
Yeah.
So it's an older pick. Sometimes when a guy, has physically matured but hung around the college ranks, they develop in a way where they can kind of stand out. But even that, right? He tested really well to show some of those, the speed characteristics that you're looking for. So even from like a special team standpoint, that's generally what you like to see if a guy can come in and contribute right away with just those situations. So you're a little worried maybe about it being an older guy here, or you still see some room to grow?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I definitely think that it's, there's a reason that you're not taking a 6-year cornerback in the first round by any means. I like to compare it honestly to Darian Porter. The Raiders took out of Iowa State. He was a 6-year senior. He was a first-year starter in 2024. So was Frazier. Obviously Frazier, UTSA, and Iowa State. Then it's two different levels, but I think Porter came in a lot of the same strengths and weaknesses. He was a 3rd-round pick, and Frazier was a 5th-round pick. So I'm looking at it now. They were picked 101 picks apart from each other. This is just me, but I think the value with Frazier at 169 is better than the value of Porter at 68. So yeah, obviously you have a 1-year group of 5 starting cornerback. There are going to be some questions. He's going to be a little rough around the edges. But I certainly think from a physical tools perspective, he's one of the most gifted cornerbacks in this class.
Right. 6'3", he's got the length. That's a lot of times what you're looking for in a very specific, like an outside boundary corner generally, is you like that speed, you like that length. They can break up some passes, cover a little bit more ground. They can get up and knock some balls away or take away some of those routes, from guys on the outside. So kind of a bump and run type of guy, right? Like this more of just a boundary type pick, but that's, it's certainly needed in terms of competition on this roster. We don't talk about corner a lot, but you still have, you've got Tyreek Stevenson, who's, kind of maybe lost his way. I think we all hope that he can kind of come back, and particularly under new defensive coordinator. Obviously, you've got the star in Jalen, and you've got the nickel with Kyler. But the backup positions, the Bears have been pretty deep. They've got some interesting players, and it sounds like you add another interesting athlete with a couple of guys maybe that have left in free agency.
Yeah, I think this is a guy who's going to be able to step in pretty quickly and compete for probably not a starting spot realistically, but a good boundary a good boundary cornerback, maybe even field side, because I do think he has the athleticism in that regard as well. He should be a solid backup. I think I've seen some people say, okay, maybe he'll move to safety. I don't necessarily think he will, but you never know. I think with the fact that the Bears don't have any safeties under contract beyond this year, I wouldn't totally rule it out. I do like him best as a cornerback, though. I mean, you mentioned the bump and run sort of style and coverage. He's a little bit skinnier. He's 186 pounds, but I pulled it up here on Mock Draftable real quick. So Zah Frazier, as far as cornerbacks go, 95th percentile in height, 95th percentile in wingspan, 90th percentile in arm length, and then 94th percentile in 40-yard dash. So I think he uses those long arms well. He's active in press coverage. He does a good job of keeping his hands active through a receiver's stems, like as they're battling off the line of scrimmage. A little bit high-hipped. I think that, that's the one thing that from an on-tape perspective that I have concerns about, whether or not he's going to be able to change direction super suddenly. I think he defends vertical route concepts well. I mean, because he's a smooth operator, shooting vertically, and he's got the deep speed, obviously, as you can tell from his 40. It's just, changing direction on a dime that I think is going to, that could hold him back. But I mean, again, in round 5, 6'3" cornerbacks who run 40-yard dash times of 4.36 don't grow on trees. And I think that that's something where you combine that with the fact that he had 6 interceptions this past year, with the ball skills he has, the ball hawking mentality that he has, it's certainly, in my opinion, it's certainly worth a pick here in round 5.
Yep, love it. We talked about it on the last one. At this point in the draft, you're probably going after traits, or you're going after a guy that had a lot of on-field production that may not have that athleticism. I think we're seeing the Bears focus more on the trait side of things, add a more athletic guy into that defensive backroom. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be that he would move to safety. Maybe he's going to compete at corner, but maybe you have enough corners where you say, hey, we really like this guy, but we have a need at safety, and it allows somebody else to move over and develop into a safety as well. In the defensive back room, is the big umbrella, and then inside of that is, are you going to play the nickel, or are you going to play outside corner, or are you going to play safety? So some of those guys may move if there's a a lot of depth here at corner. So I didn't ask you the last time for a grade on the first pick today, but we've been doing that on most of these. Do you have a quick snapshot grade? Obviously exceeded your on your board, so I imagine this one's going to be pretty decent.
Yeah, I'd give Frazier where they took him at. I'd give him. I'm stuck between an A- and a B+. I'm gonna go B+. I'll be on the the safer side, and part of it's just because I thought there's really good value at running back, and that's something they need to address. But I like this a lot. I think that this is one of the better picks they've made so far this weekend. Like we talked about in the last one, and like you just mentioned now. You're picking traits heavily in day 3, and it's tough to get better traits than what Frazier has. So I'm certainly a fan of it. I don't know exactly how much he's going to play on defense right out of the gate, but I certainly think there's developmental potential, whether it's at safety, whether it's at corner. I think it's going to be at corner, but I think there's a lot to like with him. I think he's good depth. I think he'll be a solid special teamer. So yeah, B+ is what I'm going for, but I'm close to an A-. It's just, maybe I would have preferred positional focus elsewhere, but it's still very good value. It's still, it's better value than a lot of other picks that have been made here in round 5, in my opinion. He's one of the top defenders on my board still available. So I'm, I feel pretty good about the pick.
Well, and this gives Dennis Allen a player at each level in this draft.
Yeah.
There's a defensive lineman, a linebacker, and now a defensive back. So, the Bears have not concentrated picks in any one position group. They have 2 weapons, but also they're going to be in different meeting rooms, the top 2 picks. But in general, they've been kind of spreading this around. So, we'll get out of here for this one. As of this moment, the Bears have two picks left. They did make a pick where they traded into the future, so that was great. But they got a 6th-rounder back, so we'll be back at least once, if not twice. And I think that's probably it. But thanks for recapping the Roadrunner, Zah Frazier.